G'day and welcome to Cuba de Rio. I'm at Scolle. At the top there, kids playing What's the Time, Mr. Wolf with a Rooster, and then followed by Nathaniel's amazing zither playing. This is a part of a double episode I'm doing to make up for that 2-week gap that we had there. And this is extra special because this is the one where we actually get to know a bit of Honduras rather than just the hedonistic lump that is Utila buried in the Caribbean Sea there. So make sure that you stick around right to the end, as this is a fabulous interview that I did with my very gracious host, Jorge. And make sure you check the show notes for the link to his fantastic accommodation in Zambrano, just 33 k's out of the capital of Honduras. Welcome to Honduras, and what a way to enter. We're at San Pedro Sula, which is a very infamous second city of Honduras. It's got the world's highest murder rate here in San Pedro de la Sula. And so I did some research just to compare the two. And so, for example, back home in Australia, the murder rate is 1.1 people per 100,000. And Honduras overall is a scarily higher number than that, 66.4 people per 100,000. But San Pedro de la Sula has this infamous title because it has a rate of 187 per 100,000. That is 170 times more than the Australian rate, which is terribly sad, but it has led to some interesting observations that I can make about this city because it is so normalized to crime. Like right now I'm looking at a small child who just minutes ago was caught by police and he's coming towards me, so I'm just going to zip up my bag. But he was caught by police to the cheers of the many people here in the main bus station, and he's off. So yeah, he's wandering free, but he wasn't too happy about 5 minutes ago. And there was also like an advertisement on a gigantic billboard making fun of the missing posters that are everywhere in this city. Like it was crazy. But anyway, so that's my first impression of Honduras, and I must say it was the first time on the entire trip I've been nervous to go somewhere. But I've already got a bus on the way out, so yeah, we're off to the nice islands, Bay Islands, where I will be diving for an entire week and be able to forget about some of the horrible things that go on here on a very daily basis. So off to the bakery here in Utila. This is the most fabulous bread. It's back on top here at this bakery. But I just spent the last 2.5 hours of this morning underwater, and 2 of those were 40 to 45 minute dives on coral reefs, which were incredible. Like just sailing along there, floating around. The fish do not care that you are anywhere near them. It's just brilliant. So I found diving to be super easy. Equalization, my left ear is a bit laggy compared to the rest of me, but no, it was super fun. And don't pee in wetsuits because someone jumped back on board after their dive, and yeah, you could smell ammonia quite strongly. It was quite great. It was quite hilarious. But everyone underwater is practicing bubble rings and all sorts of like little tricks that the instructors are popping out every now and again. It was just so much fun, and the coral here around Utila is it's in healthy conditions. It's quite impressive. So I'm really looking forward to getting the chance to take my camera down, because the fish are just nonchalant around divers. I didn't expect that to that degree. Yeah, it's crazy.
cannot imagine a better song to be in the background for this. What a freaking good few days I've qualified for my open water diving. I've doubled down and now doing the advanced diving course as well, because I am loving this sport. Like, for all its lack of actual energy use, it's so fantastic. Like, just being under there, seeing everything, the fish just not caring that you're there. It's not just fish either, though. We've seen like shrimps, like these magnificent sort of glittering carpets of krill and lobsters, and we saw this huge stingray that was about 2 meters front to end and had like the sort of lobe that was about 1.5 meters wide, and that didn't care either. It was just incredible. But like, all the little details I'm loving about diving as well, like being able to rise up and down with your breath. That's really like cool. Being neutrally buoyant and just floating in space is just an incredible feeling, and clearly there's an island of people here that are addicted to that feeling. And like moving through different, like you can visibly see different pools of water temperatures, which is so cool. Like, just in front of you, you'll see this little shimmering water, and you'll swim into it, and it'll be warm. It's great. And the culture around this diving business is great as well. Like the horns as they come in after they've seen a whale shark. I love that. Like there's there's a strong no peeing in a wetsuit rule that gets broken nearly every dive, and someone gets up the ladder and on the board, unzips their wetsuit, and everyone can smell the ammonia. It's just amazing. But today was a big one, because we went out and we went whale shark hunting, and we were successful, and not just once in the morning with a little tiny 7 meter, 8 meter whale shark. And I came in, and then I dashed off to the shops, grabbed 2 bananas, hopped back on the boat with some snorkel gear, and headed out with the afternoon crew as well. And that time we saw a big, like good 12 meter whale shark. And the larger they are, the less they care about there being tourists swarming all over them. So it was just incredible. Like, they move completely effortlessly. Like, their tails just sort of sweep back and forth maybe once every 20 seconds, and they are just gunning away from you, and you're swimming as fast as you can to keep up with these buggers. And like, yeah, it's so graceful. They've got weird little eyes though. Like, that really freaked me out. One of them sort of came up to grab some krill. That's why they're here. Like, the way you track whale sharks is interesting, because very few of the ones here are tagged. There is a whale research centre here on Utila, but they're not very good. So essentially all you look for is a couple of birds flying out there. Splashing. You're looking for birds, and then you'll find these big boils of fish, and that's all the phytoplankton and krill being just attacked by these swarms of blackfin tuna that are like jumping out of the water and grabbing this stuff. And the whale sharks are there for the krill, and so they come up and they hang around the outsiders of these boil, picking off the krill. And so once they're there, the birds are there, the tourists are there, and we're in the water swimming with these giants. It's just amazing.
Well, I finally found an activity that's as incompatible as taking photos at the same time as doing a podcast, and that's diving. There's no way I can take my my equipment down there, and it's very disappointing because there are some brilliant noises for all the lobsters, and we've been with dolphins and stuff like that. And so I'm waiting for the videographer to send me through some clips of that sort of stuff, so you guys can get a sense of what the Utila that I
experienced sounded like. But I thought I might give you a brief overview of all the dives that I did, because when I did the advanced course, we did a number of different dives, including a night dive, which was so special. Like, it was you and your torch, and you only sort of lit up what you shined your torch on. It was incredible. And like, when you hung back from the group, you saw all these just like floating orbs of light shooting into the water, illuminating, like, it's just floating stuff, and the occasional fish, tons of lobsters at night. And the rest of the group saw an octopus, but I was too busy tapping my, holding my light to my chest so it wouldn't shine, and then turning my fins, because there was a lot of phosphorescence down there, which was just magical to swim through. Like, you would flick your fins a couple of times, and you're at like 12 meters depth, and you turn out your light and you look behind you, and there's just this swirling sort of galaxy of green plankton behind you, all glowing lightly. It was utterly magical. The other sort of dive we did was a wreck dive, and this was a wreck that was sunk for recreational purposes. It was the Halliburton 17 years ago. They sunk it to do wreck training on, and it's at 30 meters of depth. So some crazy things happen at 30 meters of depth, because you start getting what's called nitrogen narcosis, which is essentially like nitrous oxide starting to become more prevalent in your blood, and you fail to do mathematics and things like this. So everyone goes a little crazy at 30 meters depth. And around this wreck, it was basically a sanctioned dumping site for any fun metal things that divers had collected and didn't need anymore on Utila. So there was tons of all bicycles around the wreck, and there was this barbecue. And this was where the nitrogen narcosis really kicked in, because we were all like 5 blokes, and we were all sort of on our knees on the seafloor at 30 meters depth, having a very male tea party around this barbecue, pretending to turn sausages and steaks, and like putting sauce on imaginary hot dogs and stuff. And we were doing this for a good 5 minutes before someone went, that's the only way you can make noise underwater. And I just couldn't stop laughing, because there was actually a shrimp on the barbie. It was very annoyed that we had been reaching towards its little home for the last 5 minutes. It was just excellent. We're in Zambrano. We're about 2 hours out of Honduras's capital, Tegucigalpa. It's a very tough word. It's taken me ages to practice that one. And I'm at Jorge's place. So you might remember Jorge as the Honduran who gave me a walking tour of Antigua after we met at the checkout. Well, for some reason, I've washed off on Jorge, and so he invited me to his beautiful Swiss-style hostel, and I'm staying. I'm staying for free. Like, we're about to go on a fabulous day out exploring coffee fields, and I couldn't pass it up, because after Utila, I didn't want to leave Honduras without getting a sense for the real thing, and I think this will certainly go some way to balance that out from that crazy western place that is Utila. We are in the hills around Zambrano. I drove on the wrong side of the road this morning for over 100 kilometers of Honduras's main highway principal, and some dirt roads up into the hills where we're visiting some coffee farms. And right now we're at a Comedor, where we're going to eat some typical Honduran food. Fried chicken is what you heard there earlier, with tortillas and some mashed potato. So it's been an excellent day. I did crash into Jorge's gate as I reversed out of his driveway this morning, but it wouldn't be Matt Scolle driving a car if he didn't crash it somehow. It's the last 2 cars I've driven I've crashed, essentially, is what I'm saying. But yeah, the gate and the old 1980s Pathfinder that I drove all the way here is in good condition still, so we're with luck.
beehives, but not where you would expect them. These ones are about to be moved, so they're strapped to the back of motorcycles, and that is 3 beehives, each have their own queen, and they're headed to a new home. And Jorge has brought us to his mate's apiary, where hopefully we're going to get to try some fresh Honduran honey. And these are Africanized bees crossed with an Italian European variety. They look very similar to the ones we have at home. And so I'm very keen to try their delicious product.
Siempre hay un guardia. Cuando vienen, se mueve y sale otra vez. Cada una tiene un guardia.
Those that got left behind have left us to converse in a swarm of bees. It's amazing. Our friend the beekeeper is now gassing a 6-tiered hive. It's the biggest of the lot here, and the ones with 2 boxes have between like I've been stung by one. Ow. The one with 2 boxes. Gotcha. The one with 2 boxes have between 70,000 and 80,000 individuals, but this one's got 6 boxes, so it is a big hive, and he's gassing a lot of them. Jumping coffee beans at Comsa. That's a coffee cooperative here in Marcarla, which is about 150 k's away from Zambrano, and about, I would say, 280 from Tegucigalpa, the capital of Honduras. And the machine in the background there is mixing, shaking the cases off the coffee beans, and then sorting them into different qualities, like first and second, and then the shells fall into a different bag. And we just came into their lab upstairs, where everything's sort of toasted and then ground, and then there's this magnificent fragrance, then aroma, then breaking the surface of the coffee, then tasting it with a big sip. It's crazy the amount of qualifications these guys have to achieve to be able to do this job and properly qualify each coffee from its different areas and its different altitudes to its different qualities, and then it's all bound for export. It's an amazing system they've developed here. And the huge dusty warehouse here at Comsa is just producing its last coffee beans for the year. The season of production is from December through to July at the latest. And then the coffee plants have a rest, and everyone sort of calms down and exports their product that they've created throughout the productive half of the year. Getting started on our route to San Francisco de Zoracuara. And our excellent chauffeur, Nathaniel, a French bloke who's staying with Jorge as well, is driving us on these rough roads. And it's very sad driving around these parts of Zambrano's hinterland, because you can see the full impact of that pine beetle that we saw evidence of in Acactenango. This area is full of pines, but nearly every hill here has large sections of its forest that are red with dead pine. And it's the only management effort that they've taken is to try and cut them down and to sort of isolate the beetles in patches of the forest, but they clearly haven't been successful in that, given the extent of the deforestation in these parts.
Y el periodo tenía 250 millones solo para pagar a esta gente.
We've come to visit a mate of Jorge's called Don Israel, and he's building a beautiful mud brick house with his 9 3/4 fingers and his attempt at reclaiming the Hitler moustache. It's beautiful. But as we sit on his front porch looking out towards the forest, there's a brilliant story of corruption in Honduras unfolding. And so it turns out that some members of the government happen to be cutting down healthy forest instead of the ones that are infected with the beetles and selling the wood. And so there's a bunch of government engineers and the like passing by Don Israel's house and seeking to build roads and the like towards these forests where they can pull out this wood and pretend that it's been attacked by this pine beetle, where in fact they're just making a killing, selling perfectly good pine. There's no story as juicy as a good corruption story. And it seems in Honduras, they always seem to go all the way to the top.
Iban sacando leña, iban sacando leña para tequila y todo eso. Pero hoy que ven ellos que están haciendo eso, a ellos no les gusta.
How was that? Very thankful to Jorge for showing us so much of the Honduran countryside, and we're still waiting on some of those scuba sounds to come through from the videographer at Utila Underwater Vision in Utila. So once I get those, I might add them to the next episode if they come through. But coming up next is an interview I'm very proud of. I managed to somehow link everything I wanted to talk about to Jorge into this one. So have a listen and enjoy. It's a big one.
My name is Jorge Valle Aguiluz. I come from Honduras.
And can I start by making an observation? Because it seems like in the work that you've done in the past, running a restaurant, then running a hostel, and now running a couch surfing venue, you seem to be people's introduction to Honduran culture and the like. What's that been like?
Well, I like to introduce foreigners to Honduras so that they have a nice experience visiting this country. And later they can tell their friends to come to this country. And here in my house they will find a nice place to be, shelter their bodies, comfort their souls, feel fine.
Feel fine. And what do you think's the key to unlocking all of that?
Well, the image of Honduras is not good these days, or these years. So that's my contribution from my country, to invite foreigners, and then also they will become my good friends. That's my hope. And I will visit some of them in their country. Some of them have already returned to visit me. And we have a close attachment.
Certainly. So for those that are unfamiliar with Honduran culture, what aspects of Honduras do you like to show off?
Well, because I live in the countryside, many of the people I know here are farmers and simple people, very nice, you know. They treat me very well, they like me, and then I like them as well. And then that's for the foreigners, that's another view of Honduras. If they follow a guidebook, they will go to tourist spots. And here, these are not tourist spots, but with a nice, how I could say, well, it's nice to see also this part of Honduras.
Certainly. And what do you like about the area that you live in?
Well, I like very much the weather, although with the global warming, these past 2-3 years have been rather hot maybe around here. Because here it used to be cold with fog nearly every day, or at least a couple or 3 days a week, and now that's not the situation. So that's also the phenomenon of El Niño. I hope it changes this year, because I came to live here because it was very comfortable, exquisite weather, also very peaceful. I feel fine here. I'm enjoying my life.
Certainly. And we might as well start chatting about your house, because you settled in Zambrano, but this land belonged to your family, and then you've built this amazing house.
Thank you. I bought this part of land from my father, and then I designed this house. I directed the construction, and it was an inspiration from God. I built a little chapel to rescue me from rain and sun. And being there, I was inspired to build this house because I went to a business school and then a hotel school, but I then never did any architecture or engineering. Nevertheless, I designed this house.
But you designed it of a very particular style. It's quite European.
Well, it's Spanish in a way, you know, combined with Alpine style, I would say. It's very eclectic. It's a combination of things I have seen in Mexico and Guatemala, and in countries like Austria, Spain, maybe Switzerland too. Alpine countries.
Yeah.
And Spain.
Yeah, I'd like to reflect on something I said the other day, which was like the house reflects the owner, and I cannot imagine a house that better reflects you as a person. Like, it's got niches in all corners to like display your collections of various things. It's just fabulously cozy, and as soon as you walk in, you get a sense of the person that is I'm looking for the right word, but we've been speaking Spanish all week, so I've forgotten my English. The person that has sort of curated this household.
Well, thank you very much for seeing all that and saying that, you know. That tells me that you have been really enjoying and appreciating this house, and also appreciating me, you know, because I was the one who created this place for others to enjoy, you know. I'm very happy when people, especially like you, come here, and it's very enjoyable. And well, what can I say? I feel touched when people like you tell me that this reflects my personality.
But it's not
very
just
special.
it's not just your approach to how you've designed your house and the like. It's your approach to how you visit places and how you interact with people as well. That's like I mean, it was the tour that you gave me around Antigua, where it was every detail that could be like paused on and reflected upon, and it had a history and it had a meaning to someone, and like that intrigued me. And so I must say, like, that's continued throughout my sadly short stay here.
Yeah.
Like,
Really.
but how did you become such a sort of rounded man that has an eye for so much detail?
Well, I would say that's probably a gift from God, you know, because I have no idea how to explain it.
Yeah. Well, what have you used to inform?
Well, you know that I learned a lot from my mother. My mother was into details, and maybe some of these children are born with that, you know. And maybe I liked beauty since I was a child, because I started collecting little things that look beautiful to my eyes. And foreign friends have told me that I have a good eye for beauty. When we had the opening of this house, there was a good friend, a Canadian priest, and he told me that he could see that I have an eye for beauty. And you, Jorge, should have a store with beautiful pieces from all over the world that you see, because I know you can see the beauty in them and sell them in a store to the people who cannot see that beauty, you know, unless you show it to them. That was something that he said, and
Did you ever act on it? Did you ever open a
no, I haven't yet, but you know, living out of Tegucigalpa is a little bit difficult. I try to sell things here, but not enough clientele.
Yeah, certainly. But it's nice and relaxed.
Yeah.
Of all your various collections, from bottles to
Mm-hmm.
religious iconography and the like, what's your favorite collectional item that you found around the
Well,
world?
it's difficult to say, but I like religious images, and paintings, and I like vases and handmade pieces, Many pieces here. There is only one in the world because many I bought from one person, one artist, and they wouldn't make any more from the same.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have. It's not that I'm materialistic. I just want to show the people that there is beauty, and people come here, and I've seen them that their eyes open, they have smiles, they have a nice face, just because they see something unique, different, and beautiful.
Certainly.
And you can see that it's simple things. It's not luxuries. There is no gold, but it's beautiful. You
It's,
come here, and after a couple of days or a couple of hours, if you just come for a lunch or a meal, but if you stay here, it's much better because then you live with with your soul tonified and probably happier than when you came.
Certainly, and I can assure anyone listening that if they do come for lunch, it'll be a damn good meal.
Yes, right.
And but though you touched on something there that has fascinated me as well. That throughout all the tours that we've done together, even though they've been short, I've noticed that the people that you the people that you interact with and people that you return to over and over again have a deep passion for one or many things in life. And how do you identify those people? Like, to get started, you have this book. I notice you're writing numbers and all sorts of things, but how do you remember all these people and their passions?
How I remember them? You mean people who come to visit me, like foreigners?
People that come to visit you, also the people that we visited out in the hinterland here.
For the ones who come here, like foreigners, in couchsurfing, for example, some write to me asking for a couch, and I would say the majority come because I saw their profiles. They are traveling in Central America or specifically in Honduras, and I invite them to come if they have the time and the desire. Some come and they have a fantastic experience because some of them have written that to me on my books. Then I don't know. I feel a connection with the majority, and they also feel a connection with me because I don't know. There is something. I have helped many people without knowing it because they tell me, "Thank you, Jorge, for everything you did for me." And I haven't done anything, but it's maybe God uses me to help them in some crisis that they have, because some people have cried here.
I wouldn't even say it extends to crises, but even like small sort of daily things. Like we drove here, both Nathaniel, the other couch surfer that's staying here, and I. And we both made like plenty of errors. I crashed into your gate, and Nathaniel nearly killed us a number of times. But the degree of patience you displayed to both of us was incredible. Like I would have stopped at the first instance, not the fifth or sixth.
When he was going to almost crash us.
Yeah.
Is that what you mentioned?
It's not so much that we kept driving, but the car stopped. We bought some food, and then we started again. And that openness and that patience was, I don't know, it seemed inhuman to me because I would definitely not. I don't have the capacity for that degree of patience with people. Not just in things like driving, but like, I don't know, traveling and things like that. Like,
It was an interesting personality trait I noticed. Where did that come from?
That I didn't feel impatient.
Yeah. How have you reached that sense of tranquility?
Maybe through the years and living here, which is a peaceful place. There is a lot of beauty inside and outside. And also because with people like with Nathaniel and with you, I feel the same way. I have already built something really beautiful. With Nathaniel, we have already built a close friendship, and also we are like family. I'm like an uncle for him, you know. He's like my nephew. Could be my son, but he has his father and mother. But then we feel very close since the first moment. And with you, Matthew, I felt entirely fine since I met you at that supermarket and asked if you were French. And then walking and telling you this, and we met again. And you have something special, you know. You show an interest, and that's something I liked. I don't want to make a general statement, but many people I meet from the U.S. You say hello, you talk, you can introduce yourself, and suddenly they say, "Okay, nice talking to you." No. But no, you showed a genuine interest to know, and you asked me about my country and about politics, and I enjoyed the moment 100%.
Well, I mean, you
and,
do this.
Now your visit here, I have been enjoying every moment, you know.
Well,
and then I feel that I have two close and dear friends that have been here with me, Nathaniel and you.
Well, thank you for noticing that. But notice that you did the segue for me to the next bit. I'd love to talk about Honduras with a Honduran, because I've always worried with this podcast that it's been white people talking about Central American countries, and you're the first representative of Central America. So tell me about Honduras. What's it like?
Do you mind if I tell you why do you say white people talking about Central America? No, I would say you Australians or Europeans. It depends where the person comes from, and Central Americans. I never make a race difference, you know.
Not so much a racial difference, but I'm conscious of the diversity that I have on the podcast, because it can be all one view, and I don't want it to be that. I want it to be a more broader perspective. I haven't yet, but I want to speak to people that I disagree with, so that we can get a broad aspect of perspectives on the podcast. I don't want it to be a narrow thing. That's why I made that differentiation. But so speak to me about Honduras at the moment. What's it like?
Well, Honduras is a developing country. The very good people of the country are trying to do the best for the country and for the people at the moment, and for their children, and leave a nice country for their grandchildren and the next generations. But the people involved in governments, they just care for their own pockets and stability, and that's not right with the rest of the country. So I feel sometimes here that I cannot do much. I do the best for the country, but it's probably not enough, because I don't know, I live away from the city with little clientele here, and I'm not in any organization. I just pray for the well-being of the country, and if I can do something talking to the clients who come here, I do it as well. But
so if you're looking at Honduras as a whole, where do you see it going in the future?
well, In some ways, I always say that I see the future of Honduras black, not even gray. Because, I have to say it. Maybe Hondurans don't like it, but there is a lot of mental poverty. Because many people are poor in their heads, and then they will remain poor also from money, because there are many people careless. They don't care, and they, for example, in a little town, very young teenagers start having children. They don't analyze what's going to be or how the future is going to be for these children. They can have children when they are 13, 14, 15, and then there is usually father irresponsibility. The children are taken care by the mother or the grandparents and the family of the mother. The guy usually goes away and will find another woman and do the same. So that's it, And then many poor children all the time. I sometimes I start thinking about their future, and I pray to God for their well-being, but sometimes it's difficult. I say, wow, what a future for Honduras with so many very poor people. I don't know if I can say.
No, but you touched on something there which strikes me as interesting. You said that the people aren't aware of the problems that surround them. But we met someone today, Don Israel, which is
very special.
He's certainly aware of the problems that surround him with regards to the environmental impact of the beetles eating the pine trees. But the thing was that even though he can see corruption in the way that people are managing that resource, i.e. that governmental forces are taking out the good pine and leaving the stuff that's got beetles.
Corruption is terrible.
But the thing
I
that
feel offended.
Certainly, but the thing that he was a person that was so aware and so invested in that issue, but he didn't seem to know what power he had in changing it. That was the distressing thing about talking to Don Israel.
Well, I know there is people like him. I agreed with him completely, but I don't know what both of us can do.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we did the best job of describing what was happening there. Do you want to give a summary of what was going on?
What you said was correct, The whole country is in danger because Honduras is one of the countries in Central America with the most or the largest pine forests. A lot of land in the country are pine covered, hills and mountains. And now, since I would say the end of last year, that beetle came to attack the pine trees. They are in front of my house, and I have been praying to God, please don't allow those insects to come to my pine trees, because I will feel sorry. I have planted several of the medium-sized and smaller pine trees here and other trees, so I love nature, I love trees, so I don't want that to come here. But for the whole country, there is going to be a change of weather. The weather will be warmer or hot. There will be less water. There will be more poverty as well, because there won't be water, there won't be, maybe erosion will come once the rain starts with big storms.
Yeah.
Everything is going to change. And what I don't like is that the government and other people are taking advantage of that. If they are cutting the sick trees, they cut a lot of areas with fine trees, to sell the wood for higher prices. And they are just taking it. They're not buying it, they're just taking it. And they would sell it and make a lot of money. I don't know what else I could say about that because
Neither do I, because like there's been so many instances where I've encountered a severe injustice on my trip, but I'm just passing through.
yeah,
And there's been so many cases where I would love to install myself for a time and try and get something going to change the situation, but we're going southwards, ever southwards. So I try and tell as many people as I can about these issues so that it's out there and there's awareness. But in the end, I don't have much impact either, and that weighs on me as well.
but if you know people who like to do something, volunteer in something about that, giving information or aid or just people who like to come and help this country in many ways, helping people to higher their standard of living or with health and education and how to earn money in a better way, doing some work or improving their agricultural habits, that would be very nice. And if there is people that my friends send or they direct them to me, I feel happy to help them to stay.
Certainly. So let's finish on you again, because you're certainly the more interesting component of this interview. So what do you see in your future? What's coming up?
I would like more clientele here, because the clientele provides the money. I receive guests that I invite or they ask me to come through a club of hosts and travelers, but that doesn't bring me money. That brings me joy, warmth to my heart. All these people tonify my soul. I feel happy, I am enjoying, I'm learning a lot. But I would like clients because they will provide me with the money I need to live like in the past. In the past, I didn't lack anything. God provided, and I had a nice and good business in Tegucigalpa, Café Alegro. And then the first years of this business was fine. Was not like Café Alegro, but provided money. And I could travel, I could help people. Wherever I saw a need of somebody, I helped. Like poor people or children who need to go to school and get some books and just help them for years of schooling. I did that. But now I feel that I cannot do that. I want to do it, but I can't. But if more clientele comes, then I will do that. And I will travel and visit friends in other countries, and it could be nice.
I think the first step in helping that is to clone you and send about 15,000 Jorges out into the world to improve Honduras's image. And then certainly within 3 years maybe things will start picking up here, because it's certainly a fascinating country to visit, and it's very sad that a lot of tourists go sailing through it from they would rather be in a bus for 13 hours from Utila to Leon in Leon than stay anywhere in Honduras, and that is an utter tragedy, because they missed all the fabulous things that
I'm glad you see that.
You helped me to see. So thank you so much for having me in your house.
You're very welcome,
and for sitting down and having a chat.
You are entirely welcome, Matthew. You have brought light and happiness and peace to my heart.
At least for a few days then. And then it'll be madness again once I've gone.
Huh? No. That won't happen. That won't happen because you left me with high spirits.
Well, to any future podcast guests listening, that is how you say thank you to a podcast host. Thank you very much. Cheers.
You're welcome.
And that's it for another week. Double episode done. Hopefully that fulfills your needs and desires. If you enjoy what you're listening to, make sure you like the Facebook page, as that's where all the photos are going up. And honestly, the photos are becoming as large a part of this podcast as the podcast itself. I'm thoroughly enjoying all the different ways you can take photos with this camera of mine, underwater and over the water. Also, make sure if you enjoy what you're listening to, leave a review on iTunes, as that would really help us out. And next week we will get to know Nicaragua. So stick around. See ya.